goal for you now? What's the dream for Keiona Stewart now?
You know, I feel like, again, I'm living in the days that I prayed for before. So I'm very, very grateful of that. And so because I am where I am truly in a moment of reflection for myself where I have to think about what the future looks like. I've decided to expand agency pathways. I mentioned earlier, if there's an opportunity at the beginning of 2023 to purchase another agency, I will do that. And you know, as I think about, there's kind of like two directions. Obviously, the real estate / construction piece is one, but there's just so many avenues when it comes to insurance. If I bring it back to that, right? If you had a license and you've worked into an agency, it's definitely going to make you appreciate it more. You know, there's the lead side of insurance, right? And that's one of those things that, again, if you can do it for insurance, you can do it for any industry, you know, whether it's going to be Google ads, because if you can do that if you can do that for insurance, then, you know, once you know the nuances of another company, then you can do that for that other company as well. But so I would say for me, I'm really in a reflection moment I'm definitely going to expand agency pathways, and I want to do that much like how I've put the insurance agency on a process. I know what that looks like and what that's going to take to expand. And then, you know, what I've become fond of is, you know, finding something, putting a process to it. And it's kind of like, you know, watching my business baby grow. So those two additional things that I've just named off, I have to decide where I would want my time to focus. But that's one of the things what I like about process, right? So if you set up a process and if everybody follows the process, then, you know, ultimately that's how you get some of your time back, right? So I tell them in the agency, I said, you know, pretty much I know what we should be doing at all times because, you know, we've developed this process. And typically if something did not go the way that it should have gone, the first thing I ask is, what did we do? Like, did we follow that process, right? And more so, could that process have eliminated something? So also, I would say for right now, because I am in the place where I prayed for, you know, 5 years ago, I'm enjoying this moment. And I don't want to leave this moment so soon, right? And it's so funny because I knew you would ask me that question. And so when I mentioned that I've been thinking about this, like, you know, the beginning of July, okay, I got this thing. Let me make sure I fill this form out, send it back. And as we got closer, I started to think about it every day. And I knew you would ask me that question. And I just told myself, I said, these are the days that I prayed for. Yeah. So I'm not going to necessarily, you know, say that I want to go out and conquer the world, because right now, I think for me, in order to truly be appreciative of the days that I prayed for before, I need to live in this moment and enjoy this moment. So I am enjoying these days, these times. And that's where I am right now. I'm going to continue to run my agency. I'm going to continue to be successful at that. And from a business owner perspective, right? So like like I mentioned earlier, if there's an opportunity for 2023 for us to do some additional acquisitions, we're definitely going to do that. Going to continue to expand agency pathways. I'm not going to rush on the other two things that I said, because at the same time, I know that once I launch into those, then I will miss the fruit that I've prayed for, definitely prayed for, worked for. And I am truly enjoying this moment, truly, truly enjoying this moment. I've had, you know, other people who said, hey, I remember when you said, and they were like, look at you now. And I'm just like, you know what? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying where I am right now.
No, and you should, you've earned that. So the person who's listen, whoever hears this conversation, they're going to be impacted by it. I can tell you that right off. I mean, you got me pumped up, you know, in this conversation right here. So, you know, what would you share, like as we start to wrap up and close out, what would you share with someone who is, you know, thinking about maybe getting in this space and really from the business of insurance, from an owner perspective, because that is a strategy that I don't think we talk about enough. We talk about, you know, just getting licensed and becoming an agent and kind of working, but you did it from the standpoint of, hey, I'm launching a business. Someone who is maybe thinking in that same direction, what kind of guidance, you know, would you share with them as we start to close out?
I would still say that you have to do your homework, right? So I came from corporate to where, delivering on certain things and having an impact on the P&L was expected, just because of my background. And the agent that I talked to today was 2 years in. And I will say, if you're going to get into the business side of it, you still have to do your homework. Sometimes pre-pandemic, they would invite me to talk to new agents that are coming into the business. And so if they would ask me a question, my first response would always be, what's in your business plan? And I would say that because I want to know, what did they think about? What did they tell themselves? What did their P&L, their pro forma, their projections say that they were going to do? So they would say, they would ask me a simple question is, how much should I be paying for leads? And I say, well, what did you have in your business plan? And if I tell you how much I'm paying for my lead, what is it? How is that going to throw off your pro forma? Like, are you still going to meet your goal? So from a business perspective, I think you still need to do your homework. Like, I think you should, if you're not as astute as the next person may be when it comes to the business thing, again, you got YouTube University. Udemy is now offering business classes, right? So, I started out there when I wanted to learn about Google Ads. I'm on their marketing, and they've sent me, hey, do you want to learn about P&L, that type of thing? I would say, so do your homework. Marketing is definitely going to be very important. The right money will find the right project. And so I say that to say, there's an agent in my office now, my operations manager. I was like, look, if you want to open up your own agency, I will help you. Right? Like, I'll walk you through that process. I said, you just got to promise me one thing. Don't worry about where the money is going to come from. Because, if you find the right project, if you buy the agency right, and, you also have a marketing gain, then you're going to find a bank, who's going to lend you the money. But I think if you're looking at it from a business perspective, you have to go in it with a business mind and look at it from that perspective, right? Because I would say the first 3 years, that was part of my problem the first 3 years, right? The first 3 years, I was quote unquote working in my agency versus working on my agency. And so when I started looking at it from a P&L perspective and definitely saying, okay, this is how much money we have, this is what it takes to market, this is what I'm going to be able to drive in based on that marketing strategy that I've chosen, and this is what the premium is going to be, right? And then, okay, well, this is what all the bills are. This is how much cash on hand we're going to have at the end of the month. Yes, I can hire someone. I don't have to be afraid of that. I know what that number looks like. Right. And then keep in mind, I also said, according to the marketing strategy I've selected, I know how much premium or how many policies I'm going to be able to drive in. So right. Some of that is predictable as well. And that's why you can process this out as well. So, I would just say do homework. I mean, there's opportunity with my captive that I work for. So, Atlanta, Georgia, or Georgia metropolitan area, or Georgia's not metropolitan. Well, Georgia is metropolitan, but you understand what I'm saying. Or any other states. I would say some states are better than other states, right? I happen to be in a wonderful state. I think Texas is a wonderful state. If I was ever able to expand outside of the state of Georgia, I would definitely go to Texas first. One, it's home, it's easy. It's also a great state in terms of, other larger agencies. And, in terms of marketing to the state, there's plenty of people in the state of Texas, right? In terms of being one of the largest states. But I would say, do your homework. For me, it started out with someone who I knew close enough in terms of my current agent at the time in Chicago. I was able to ask a lot of questions, kind of push me in that direction. And I'm going to do the same thing because it's been good to me, right? And then I came across an old coworker who was able to share some stuff with me. The agent that I talked to today who recently purchased a business, one of the questions I asked was, did you talk to someone who was already in the industry other than the one person that you talked to? Right. So when I came in, I was like, let me speak to some other agents. They may not know me. Give me 10 of them because 2 of them may not call me back. And then, the other 5, maybe they just never pick up the phone, whatever the case may be. But I definitely wanted to talk to someone. So I would say start out, learn everything that you need to know. And another thing that was a pivotal point for me is that whole saying of you are the 5 people that you hang around. That's important.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, so you got to be around, I went to an agent who was doing or writing the type of business that I wanted to write. told me everything that they were doing. Like there really was no secret sauce. There was some stuff I knew I had to find out on my own, right? So I started, discovered, I researched, in different places, different groups, different insurance groups, and I didn't look back. So I would say research is going to be key.
Amazing. Wonderful. Okay, before we end,
okay,
someone wants to get in contact with you, if they want to talk to you about your business, if they want to ask you some questions, if they're in the Atlanta area and they're like, hey, I want to get into this business, I want to work for you, or if they need some assistance and they need to reach out to Agency Pathways, how can somebody reach out to Keiona Stewart?
So if someone is in the Atlanta area and they want to work for me in my agency, the best place to do is, I don't know our recruitment number, but I don't have a problem giving out my my number from a standpoint of working for the agency. So that's 678-404-1092. You can call me or text me on there, and we'll set up the process. We'll get you with Agency Pathways to go through the recruitment process. If someone is interested in working for another agency in the metropolitan area, you can also reach out to Agency Pathways. The easiest email address for that is admin@agencypathways.com. And we work with a lot of agents here in the metropolitan area that are looking to place candidates. Some for experience, if you already have a license. Others, if you want to get into the industry and you don't have a license, we do have some agents that are willing to work with those individuals because they're going to partner with Agency Pathways. We'll work with getting you licensed and getting you established in your agency.
Hey, look, if you want to learn, if you want to know, if you want to grow, you need to call Keiona Stewart and Agency Pathways. You are dynamite. I appreciate you so much for coming on and having this conversation. I know when we started, we were like, well, where are we going? But this has just been outstanding. And I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for coming on. And for those who have listened to this conversation and have gleaned some of this young lady's wisdom, maybe you heard something that sparked within you, that motivated you, that inspired you, and made you think to yourself, maybe you should get a license. Until the next time, take care. Thank you.